And so it was actually our sound man, Pete, who produced that record.
Right,
and it was much more straightforward. I mean, it was really good fun. It was really, we got mates in, let's put this on here, and running around like trying stupid instruments, like me playing the recorder, which I haven't played since I was at school, and just, having fun with it.
Yeah.
But yes, a lot more confident. I mean, I don't think, personally, that the actual way that the songs were written was that different. I think when you even go back to Spooky, I think that there are songs on there that are, whooshy and layered and all of that. But I think there are songs that, in their genesis aren't that different to, say, something like Lady Killers, that they are quite straightforward, punchy, pop punk kind of songs. It's just that the treatment was very different on them.
Right,
and,
right.
I think a song like, trying to think what else was on Love Life.
Well, if you take some of the swirliness out of something like Super Blast, I could see it just totally on Love Life.
Exactly. I mean, the things that were a bit different, I think something like Ciao, which I did with, Jarvis Cocker singing on there. I mean, I do actually remember Ivo, who ran 4AD, sort of slightly sitting there with his head in his hands thinking, I cannot believe that this is going to come out of 4AD. But fair enough,
So, and then you did a one-off thing called the Lilies.
Oh, yes.
What was that about? Because I don't know a whole lot about soccer, and I believe it's about football. How did that all come about? And who's on that?
Basically, because we were in the studio with Robin. And so, I mean, yes, all right, I used to go and see Tottenham Hotspur play. I was a Spurs supporter. But I always feel a bit kind of phony saying that, because I really only went along because Chris was a Spurs supporter. I mean, I had a great time there, but I'm not of the calibre of football fans that you get here. Like Moose is a Spurs supporter, right? That's how we used to go to matches together back then. But when you get Moose and, talking about football, he will remember goals that were scored, 8 fucking years ago. And, who took the corner at some bloody final, or I've got no idea. I just sort of nod and smile. I'm there to sing the songs and, shout and cheer, and that's it. Okay. But Simon Raymond in the Cocktail Twins, who now, is running Bella Union, which is the label we're actually signed to. He's a massive Spurs supporter, right?
Okay.
I mean, honestly, when you used to get him and Chris, Moose, Russell, who was the singer in Moose, this little load of us that would all, were into Spurs. I mean, listening to the four of them, like, fucking hell, I'd be like, but we just fucking talk about something else for 5 minutes, all right? But so it was really Simon's idea, because there was this, see, I should get bloody Moose up. He knows the bloody details, right?
Oh, man.
Because I'm going to get it all wrong now, right? But there was a match where, Spurs beat Arsenal, they're North London rivals, and, it was a big fucking deal. And, being football fans, they always have to rub each other's noses in any triumph or defeat or whatever.
Yes.
So anyway, Simon's idea to make this, let's do this little flexi disc for this fanzine that was the Spurs fanzine. And so it was just it was an afternoon, he'd written some music. I came in and ad-libbed some vocals. Chris played the drums. Moose played guitar on it. Russell was involved. So anyway, it was kind of, we just did this little record together and it went out. And
it's really cool.
It was.
Then, tragically, Chris took his own life, and then that ended Lush. And did you drop completely out of music at that point? And you went on to work for some magazines. Was music completely out of the question at that point?
Yeah, because I think, to be fair, I think also after the last album, I and the touring of it, there were quite a lot of problems in the band, and people started to fall out a bit, and it was kind of getting more and more, I don't know, not much fun, quite stressful. And I think when Chris committed suicide, that was like, okay, that is it, I'm out. I can't, there was nothing in me that wanted to be in Lush or any band without him being there. Right. And I just drew a line under all of that. And, I didn't want to, it's funny because I think when I first, I got into magazines by doing I got introduced to someone who kind of mentored me a bit and said, oh, you should go into publishing, quite good. And lots of people were saying, oh, well, if you're going to be a sub, you should contact the NME and you should work for like music magazines because that's the world that And I just thought, I just don't want to be anywhere around any of it. I didn't really go to gigs. I stopped all of that. And I just drew a line under it. And it was the right thing to do. Really,
sometimes there's just a line and it's I'm done. So you didn't have anything to do with music at all until the Lush reunion. And how did that happen? Who contacted who to get that ball rolling?
Well, I think sort of again, my timeline's always a bit out. I know that Phil was in the Mary chain, and I think they were touring regularly, and I think it came through that someone suggested that, there were certain bands that were getting back together and they were doing quite well out of it. And there seemed to be you see, I wasn't even on social media, right? So just to point that out, because when I drew a line under it, I really drew a line under it. And to be honest, even, any venture online, I would get people who were like Lush fans. I mean, I even got it at work sometimes. People would find out like my work email.
Oh, wow.
And suddenly I'd get these emails. And sometimes it was very nice. Oh my God, did you used to be in Lush? Thank you very much. Goodbye. Other people were like really fucking persistent, right? And start, demanding and sending you their problem. Fucking hell, know what I mean? And it was a bit freaky. So I didn't want to go online. I didn't want to deal with any of that.
That makes sense.
But what was interesting is I didn't really know. I just thought, well, Lush was such a long time ago, no one's even going to remember. And it was Emma. I think you'd be surprised that a lot of people still really love the band. There's a whole new kind of birth of sort of shoegaze bands, all these bands who are referencing us. And, there's a lot of love out there. And I was like, oh, okay. So I think the idea of getting back together was, mooted occasionally, but it was never the right time. My kids were still really small. It would have been such a big thing for me to, I hadn't played any music, to get back into that, the idea of going on tour and leaving the children. And so, it never quite worked out until that last time. And Emma basically met this guy who was, interested in managing us and helping put all that together. So
because in the meantime, you and Moose had started a family, so you had kids to consider at that point. It's not like let's just jump on a bus and we'll just go. You can't do that anymore.
And I had a full-time job.
Yeah. That too.
Job. And and I'm raising a family and I have to pay for shit. You know what I mean? I've got a mortgage and I've got bills to pay. I can't just like fuck off on tour just to have a great time, So it was a big thing. But I think when it kind of finally came together in 2016, I did sort of think, okay, right, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it, right? Yeah. And, and I kind of, did all the work, and it was really daunting because, one of the first things that happened was, we recorded Out of Control EP. I remember being in the studio with Emma mixing when we announced the Roundhouse shows, which were, to be honest, the biggest shows we'd played, bigger than anything we'd done in Lush in Britain.
Oh, really?
You know, yeah,
Wow.
2 nights at the fucking Roundhouse. Like, we'd never done that in Britain. So it was like a really, you know, and I do remember this sort of feeling of like, oh, shit, right now it's too late to back out, like, fuck. And I had like 3 months of, you know, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and a kind of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to do that, you know. So it was stressful but exciting, and, you know, and ultimately it was a really great experience to play again. I mean, it was brilliant, and it was lovely for my kids to see, you know, that this was part of my life once, and actually loads of people that had become friends in the interim, you know, like people I knew from the school, people I knew from work who had no real, because I don't really talk about that.
All those people that were sending you those emails, they showed up.
Yes, well, really hot. But, you know, it was interesting for people that had never seen me in that capacity. You know, they'd known me for 20 years as, you know, Miki who drops her kids off at school, or Miki who is a sub, and suddenly turn up at the Roundhouse and they're like, fucking hell, this is quite impressive.
Yeah. What is going on? This is crazy. And the music on the Blind Spot EP is great. Was that all new music, or was any of that leftovers from way back when?
No. So the music, so the Out of Control EP, like, I think the main song Emma had, because she'd been sort of dipped into, you know, she'd been in a band called Sing Sing. I think she had been thinking about writing music possibly for, you know, in some capacity, whether for other people or for, you know, film. Or, you know, she certainly kept her hand in.
Yeah.
So I think Out of Control was a song that she had, that she'd, you know, kind of had worked on. Okay. And then the others were sort of ideas. So she had the sort of music, and then I put the lyrics together. And then it was just a really collaborative sort of affair. I think we had, you know, Daniel Hunt, who's in Lady Tron. You know, Emma had met him through, I think, work that she'd done. So he was sort of involved in, you know, doing some of the music and the production, and Jim Abbis was producing it. So yeah, it was nice. And then you know, Justin did the drums, because Justin was only going to be involved in the live stuff, but he actually then, you know.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So, and playing again, is that what lit the fire for the new band, Piroshka?
Yes. I mean, I think, you know, basically the touring that we did, I mean, I have to tread a bit carefully here because it didn't end very well. It all sort of, you know, exploded a bit, and I think it was possibly more stressful and, you know, than maybe I think Emma and Phil imagined that it would be. I think I don't want to put words into their mouth, so I'm just going to skim over it and just say that my personal experience was that, yes, it was stressful. There were things that were fucking immensely hard work. You know, we really had a lot to deal with. But playing live and playing music again was just a total revelation to me, because I think I'd spent 20 years, you know, telling myself I'd done the right thing, which I had. But I do remember sort of rehearsing for the shows and thinking, you know, fuck, you know, I'm going to be in the studio all day, you know, I've got the kids, I've got this, that and the other. But I suddenly realised, like, you know, I'd be sort of half an hour into the rehearsal and thinking like, oh, I'm exhausted, but actually thinking, this is actually really good fun. This is really great. Being awesome in a room, playing music with people. This is not work, actually. I think I'm in a really good mood. And I really did enjoy it. So I think when it kind of fell apart with the Lush thing, Justin was into, you know, he was saying, oh, you should do a solo thing or blah, blah. I said, I'm not a solo person. It is not my vibe at all. But I thought it would be nice to do something, and really having no ambitions at all. We knew
I mean, I think when Lush split up, there was a lot of people who said, oh, have you got any idea what you're throwing away? You should keep at it. But, you know, it just wasn't, on a personal level, it wasn't going to work. So I was well aware. I didn't think I'm going to start this other band and we're going to be, you know, headlining fucking festivals or anything. Not before. I knew it was going to be, right, this is whoosh, right back down to the bottom. But it was genuinely because I just thought, well, it was just really fun. That's the bit that I liked, was making music and playing it and having the camaraderie of a band. And so, hey, you know, and last chance as well, really.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got some great guys. You know, you've got Moose in the band. You know, that's awesome. Mick Conroy, the bassist from Modern English, and Justin Welch from Elastica, and you know, the Lush reunion, and it's a different group of people, so it's going to be a completely different energy with it too.
And it's quite nice just exploring that. You know, it is, you know, when we started doing the Piroshka stuff, we did not tell anyone, right? It wasn't a kind of, you know, oh, Lush is over, but hey, everyone, welcome to social media. You know, I'm going to do a new band and this is what we're going to do. Say a fucking word, all right? I think about 5 people knew that we were doing anything at all. It was a total secret. And part of it was because I just didn't want people all over it, either out of, you know, in a positive way and high expectations, or in a kind of like sneering sort of like, oh, well, let's see what this is like, you know.
Right. Because you've got a bunch of people. It's kind of like a super group with the bands you guys are all related to. I've seen it written, super group. So
I know. and the funny thing is like, that was the first, you know, as soon as we, you know, said that we were going to be a band, this was the tag that was put on us. And, you know, obviously that's very flattering, you know, like blah, blah, blah. But what was interesting was almost immediately, even before we'd even put a song out, there was already a backlash over that, you know, a kind of like, oh my God, it's pathetic. These bands who are part of it, and they think if they get 4 individual members, it's going to be like, you know, all the strengths of all those bands. We're already getting like slagged off. Like, we haven't fucking heard us yet.
Oh God.
And it's not like I sat here going, who do I know who's in a band that could like raise the profile of what I'm doing? You know, it was literally because I am, you know, me and Moose a couple, and Nick played at the last Lush show and Justin had toured with us. It was literally what was around us. At that specific moment. So, but anyway, it was just really nice to sort of write music together and just have our little enthusiastic kind of back and forth without any expectations on it, without even knowing whether we were going to put anything out, you know. And
well, it sounds like it was a completely different approach from Lush, where you were writing songs and Emma was writing songs, and you would bring them in, and you would have to learn each other's songs. Is it more of a collaborative effort in writing for Piroshka?
It is. It's much more collaborative. And I'm not knocking the way that me and Emma did it, because I think that worked, you know, brilliantly for us. I think it became a little bit restricted. I mean, it had its own problems. You know, nothing is ideal. But I think it's just that it's different for me. So it's quite nice for me to be able to just be able to write a vocal line and not have to think about how the bass line is going to work, or you know, have to work out a drum pattern, you know, that you've actually got. I mean, Mick is, you know, Justin and Mick, they're both phenomenal musicians, you know. I mean, I have to say that the fact that I can just write a song and Mick comes out with some frankly amazing bass lines where I think, okay, there's no way I could have written that. So I'm, you know, and then it puts a completely different cast on the song. So, of course, there's no getting away. I will write songs that sound like Lush, because that's the only fucking way I know how to write songs. But by the time it's gone through the sort of twists and turns of what everybody else contributes, it does end up being something quite different. And then the other thing is, you know, there's no money now, right? So we cannot afford Robin Guthrie to produce it or anyone. So we have to produce it ourselves. And that means working out all that shit, you know, between us, actually. Was that
a little bit of a shock to you, the way the music industry had changed from the time you left to the time you came back? Or were you aware of everything? I'm sure you were aware of what was going on with it, but did it hit home when you started with Piroshka, how much it had changed in those 20 years?
Well, I mean, it wasn't that much of a shock because if I'm honest, this is back to what it was like at the beginning. You know, most of the bands that I knew when I was first going to gigs did not have big budgets and, you know, they were indie labels, did not throw tons of money at bands to get some producer and fly them out to LA, you know what I mean? And all of this, actually, that happened a bit later. And, you know, so actually, I think that what we're doing now is probably not that dissimilar to if I'd have formed a band in, you know, as we were at the very beginning of Lush, you know.
Right.
And you know, the budgets are smaller. It is harder to make any money. I've got to admit, you know, we don't get a wage like we did when we first signed to 4AD. But then again, I'm not putting in the same amount of work. You know, it's funny. I found some flyer the other day that was like an old Lush flyer box of crap, as you can see around me. But anyway, I'd noticed that it was like, I thought, fucking hell, these were like small gigs, but we were playing like twice a week, you know, in London. Wow. And there's no way I can do that right now. So if, you know, and much as I would love Piroshka to become something bigger and this, that and the other, I just don't have the time or the energy, actually, you know, and the idea of, I would love to go to America and play, but the idea of schlepping around in a fucking, you know, splitter van for 2 weeks, travelling like, you know, 26-hour drives between gigs. Making absolutely no money. In fact, losing money.
Oh, God. That's the problem. That I would love to see you guys play live. And in fact, as I was listening to the album to get ready to speak with you, the first couple times I listened to it, I was just listening to it and enjoying it. I didn't even write any notes down about it. I just kind of forgot. I was just listening to the music, like, this is really good. And then just doing my work, and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't write anything down about any of these songs. It's just been playing. It's just been great. And so I just enjoyed it. So it's great. It sounds like it, like you said, because you wrote it, it's going to have parts of it that sound like Lush, but it's definitely more aggressive than a lot of the Lush stuff that I've heard. But I will say, Village of the Damned, happiest song I've ever heard with a song title like that. It's great. I love it. But I think my favorite is Heartbeats. That song is absolutely beautiful. I love it. It's a song about being a parent, and I've got 3 teenagers, and the lyrics really hit me because I see what you're saying. You know, I wish I could hold you and never not let you go and have to experience the heartache and the pain that you're going to have to experience. So that song really does touch me personally, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, I'm glad.
I'm living the song right now. So.
Well, it's quite tricky, isn't it? Because I think, especially when I did the lyrics to the Out of Control EP, it was quite weird having not written lyrics for 20 years. And you do think, well, you know, so many of the Lush songs, even if they don't seem it, there's a lot of, you know, songs about relationships and, you know, what it was like to be in your 20s, and to try and find a completely different subject matter. I mean, you have to write about, I think, the stuff that you know and the stuff that touches you.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's quite tricky writing a song about being a parent because, you know, it can be a bit pompous and a bit, do you know what I mean? Oh, look at me with my precious child and I'm this loving, I'm just brimming with love, and you know, it's just bollocks, isn't it? You know, I mean, I had a conversation on a podcast with someone who was saying, you know, and he was lovely, but he said, you know, really earnestly was saying, you know, I do think becoming a parent, it really changes you for the better. And I'm not sure that people who don't have children understand how, how to be so self-sacrificing and so loving. And I just think, bullshit.
Yeah.
I have seen fucking parents who have regressed. People who were actually quite generous and idealistic when they were younger, and they become parents and they're so fucking grabby.
Yeah.
my child, only my child matters.
Yeah. And he was right at one point, it does change you. That's not necessarily always for the better. Myself included.
So it's quite a flawed and fragile experience to me. And I think a lot of being a parent is about, no parent can be a perfect parent. There's no perfect way to do it. If there was, we would all be doing it. There would be a book that tells you. And there aren't. There's 5 million books that tell you different things.
Exactly.
And I think it feels incredibly, like, oh my God, what damage am I doing? Any time you do something wrong, you think, oh, that's it, I've ruined them.
Yes.
I made this decision. That's going to be there forever, So and I think, that's quite an interesting experience, being a bit more forgiving with yourself as a flawed human being.
Yeah.
And, just trying and failing and trying again and failing. I think that's an experience I didn't expect, because like any parent, I thought, I'm going to have this baby. I'm going to be, I'm going to do this, all the things that my parents did wrong. I'm not going to do those things. I'm going to be fucking amazing. I'm never going to, I'm always going to be there for them. I'm always going to listen to them. I'm going to be loving and bullshit. It's like, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're like, let him fucking cry. He'll fall back to you. Don't worry about
it. Exactly. They're never going to learn if they don't do it themselves. If I do everything for them. Oh, so it is. What's in the cards for Piroshka at this point? Are you guys going to be recording more, playing out more? Is there much? Is there more of a future for Piroshka? Because I really enjoyed the album, and I hope there is.
Yeah, we're writing at the moment. We've already gone in the studio to, we can't do a sort of, great, we've got all the songs, let's spend 4 weeks in the studio. No, it's like, right, okay, I can do next Wednesday.
From
Thursday after that.
For about 3 hours. I got about a 3-hour block, and then I got to get the kids.
Exactly. We did a couple of days this week, actually. So we've got a couple of songs up. And so, we're at the point where we're sort of writing and recording and, trying to do things at the same time, but, spread them out. And hopefully it will mean we can get another record out next year.
Oh, that would be amazing.
If all goes well. Yeah.
That would be wonderful, because I really enjoyed Brickbat. That's the name of the album. I had to think about that for a second. That is it's a great. Now, what's behind the name Piroshka? Because that's an unusual name.
It is an unusual name. Basically, we were just really struggling to come up with a name that nobody else has taken.
I hear that from so many people that come on this show with they're starting new bands. They're like, everything's taken.
Everything. And I blame the sort of, the MySpace kind of boom, I think, because it's just, everyone could form a band, everyone could put their stuff online. And so, every band is known. And, you sort of Google it, you think, oh, I've got a brilliant, Google it. No, it's a Polish heavy metal band who had 2 albums out in the early 2000s. Oh, right, okay, not them, right. And every fucking name we came up with was taken. And we even mined the sort of Japanese route. I remember thinking of like Japanese names, because even with Lush, there was, the Out of Control, the label was edamame, and we had like origami was a word we used. I don't know, they were like little Japanese, we quite liked the sound of them. Yeah. Again, all fucking taken, okay. Hungarian, like my dad was Hungarian, my mum's Japanese. Yeah. And so I thought, Hungarian, here we go.
There you go.
Very underused language.
Exactly.
National music scene.
It's an untapped resource.
Yes. So, and yes, so Piroshka is, it's actually a name that it's almost like I think it is actually a women's name, but I always think of it more as a nickname because Pirosh is red. And so Piroshka is, what you might use as a nickname for someone with red hair, which kind of tied nicely back into the Miki from Lush thing.
Oh, okay.
But it was also Little Red Riding Hood. So memories from my childhood.
Okay.
And we thought, great, we found a fucking name that hasn't been used. That's it. Right. Let's just go with that.
I'll tell you what, if you're ever stuck, I found something that might help next time. I found a Benedict Cumberbatch name generator.
Really?
And all it does is it makes stupid ass names that sound something like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Right. Okay.
And it's like Bag Swoggle Crispy Noodle or something. It's just really stupid stuff, but that's never been taken. So
we basically come up with a name that sounds like a sort of upper class actor.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Right.
But so where can everybody follow Piroshka and you online if you're so inclined to have people follow you? I know you the band is fine, but you personally, I'll leave that up to you. But how can people find more information about the band, when new stuff's coming out, if you're playing out live?
It's all on the social media sites. It's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think it's Piroshka Band. I don't even fucking know, do I? That's how professional I am. I think if you type in Piroshka Band, it will come up.
Well, again, not too many Piroshkas out there. So that's the beauty of it.
You might get taken to a Hungarian clothing label if you just put Piroshka.
But then again, maybe that would be cool too.
The thing is ours is spelt slightly differently because the S in Hungarian is on its own just sh. So we put the H in because I thought I can't be bothered to fucking explain to people how to pronounce it. If it just said, they'll just go Piroshka, or they'll think we're a ska band or something. So
I didn't think of that. Good thinking. Good. Well, Mick, thank you so much for spending so much time with you. I know you got places to go, and I really do thank you for the time you spent.
You're very welcome. It was good fun.